welcome. I'm very glad that we are starting this panel. Thank you very much for Marta and Sarah for being here on a Sunday. And I must tell people that it's 9:00 p.m. where they are. Sarah is in the UK and Marta is in Portugal. So thank you very much. First of all, I need to introduce our guests today, our special guests. Sarah Metcalfe is a Chief Happiness Officer, and she has been working with happiness at work in her consultancy that is called Happy Coffee Consulting, based in the UK. She is Canadian, and she's also the co-director of Woohoo Partnership. And we're going to talk about it and why it is important, especially for those people that are starting a career as a Chief Happiness Officer or bringing happiness to work in any kind of role as an executive. So Sarah, please feel very welcome. I'm very glad to receive you.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's an absolute pleasure. And I had the absolute, the huge pleasure to have Carla on our latest Chief Happiness Officer training, which we held online. She has just recently graduated, and I believe you have your certificate, I believe.
I do, of course.
More and more happiness around Brazil. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, welcome. We're going to have a very nice conversation. And we also have Marta Branquinho Garcia. Marta is an economist. She's postgraduated in both human resource management and marketing. She's a Chief Happiness Officer certified in Denmark. With Woohoo Inc. And we have the pleasure also to have Marta as one of the professors in Feliciência Institute. Marta, welcome, my dear.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be with you, Carla, and now with Sarah. So yeah. I'm very pleased to be here.
Yeah, I can't believe that I am the one who put you two together in the same room. This is very funny. You needed a Brazilian woman to put you together in the same room. So, well, I have people telling me here that there are people who are not able to get into the room. I have no idea why. And I'm starting to also broadcast it on YouTube. But I must tell our attendees that in YouTube, unfortunately, we cannot have the translation. So just give me 1 second, my friends, and I'll start it. Let me see. ID. They are asking the ID, and I have no idea how to help you with this because we sent everything. It's on YouTube. If people read what's written, there is a figure in YouTube and there is a text under it. And they have all the information over there. So let's see what we can do. But it's okay, it's being recorded. Thanks, Pat, please help us. Okay, thank you, Pat. So Pat is gonna help me, but anyway. It's about resilience, isn't it, my friends? we talk so much about resilience. So that's it, that's what we need with technology. Okay, let's start our conversation. Patrice is gonna, thank you so much. Pat, thank you very much. So let's start. I have a script here and I'll try to follow because we have just 1 hour and I have very good questions and I want to share the answers with you. So I'll start with Sarah. Sarah, and we know that Woohoo offered the first Chief Happiness Officer training in the world. And I think it started in 2003 when we were at all talking about happiness at work in such a large scale as we are doing right now. Can you tell us about Woohoo background and also please a little bit about Alexander, the founder?
Absolutely, I would love to do that. So as you said, Woohoo was founded in 2003 by Alexander. He actually was an IT specialist. So he did a degree in computer science, and worked in companies and founded a company, and went on then to realize that he wanted to, he built a company that was happy, and then he worked somewhere that wasn't happy. And so it became something that he was very passionate about. And he started the business, and it's called Woohoo! And we always get to say it in that fun way, which is nice. In 2007, he wrote his first book in English, Happy Hour is 9 to 5, which I think probably many people have seen. If you haven't, it's a great read. And then in I think it was 2013, I don't have the exact date actually, when he realized that the vision of Woohoo, which was to make happiness at work the norm and not the exception to the rule. And he realized he couldn't do that if he was just a one-man band, or even himself and Arlette, his partner. So he started training chief happiness officers, teaching people everything that they had known and that worked for them. And then he created the Woohoo Partnership. And I first met Alex probably around that same time, somewhere around 2013. We were at a conference in London with a joint happiness at work colleague, Henry Stewart. And we kept in touch since then. And I eventually managed to go and train with him in 2018. And when I started my own business, and I did that wonderful course that changed my life. I can only explain it like that. I'll have to ask you ladies if it's done the same. I'm still wonderful friends with everyone I went through that, and we still have a very vibrant WhatsApp group. And then fast forward a few years, I became a partner directly after that. And we held a partner meetup in January 2019. And what I realized, and it's really funny, Carla, because in our academy, you said the one thing you took away was relationships. And I thought that being a partner of Woohoo was, I was in partnership with Alex, and other people were in partnership with Alex. And then he held this wonderful meetup. And I think he'd held one before, but I hadn't gone to it. So I went in January. And it was like I fell in love with 20 people in 3 days. And it was like kind of coming home. I met all my family. And the Global Summit for Happiness at Work founded out of conversations that we had there. So myself and 6 other women who met there decided that the partnership was so amazing, and there were so many people from all over the world, that we wanted to create a platform to hear them all speak. And so that's the foundation of the summit. Later that year, Alex decided that he wasn't actually very happy at work anymore. And he's written a story about it. I can share the link to everybody, but he said that, essentially, if you are going to be in happiness at work, you need to be happy at work yourself. And he couldn't carry on doing that. So he decided to take a break, and he asked the 6 of us to take over the Woohoo Partnership while he took that break. So we did that from January 2020. Very swiftly after that, obviously COVID happened. And so everybody's plans, including Alex's plans to travel the world and actually go to Brazil. He was going to go stay in Brazil for some of that time. He came back home to Denmark. We moved everything online. About halfway through the year, he decided that he wasn't going to come back to that. So there's a set of 6 of us ladies, myself from the UK, Shona from Canada, Fernanda and Marta from the Netherlands, and Breet and Kim from Belgium. And we are carrying on his mission and his legacy. And our goal is absolutely the same, to spread happiness at work around the world, share those teachings with everyone, and just carry on that wonderful movement that he founded. You're on mute, I think, Carla.
And it's great to hear the story, a bit of the story. And as now we are a partner, you have a leg in Brazil as well. And we are very glad to be part of it, for sure. Marta, my dear friend, you've done your Chief Happiness Officer certification in Denmark and with Alexander. How was the experience there? And how is the Danish? I'm very curious about the Danish approach to happiness. And it's nice to hear a little bit because we know Denmark is one of the happiest countries according to the Happiness World Report. So please.
Well, first of all, I think it was the last course that Alex gave. I'm not sure, but I think it was. And it was my very first trip to Denmark. My experience was awesome. I knew people from all over the world, from Mauritius to United States to, I don't know, Poland, Netherlands, Spain, UK, of course. And about happiness and about Denmark, they have a word called hug. I hope I'm pronouncing it well, hug. And this hug is a way of lifestyle. It's almost like a part of people's sense of self. Is about living in the moment. It's almost an attitude. It means happiness, well-being, comfort, maybe even coziness. It's a mood. They like to, get together, not in big celebrations or noisy parties, but just 3 or 4 people getting together in someone's house. They like to eat together, to cook together. There's candles everywhere. Everybody's comfortable without shoes, and the disconnecting, as I said before, the living in the moment is very much incorporated into the society. At least I thought it was when I went there, and it seems for me like I'm in Portugal and I'm a Portuguese. It seems like I was watching a civilization, 20 years ahead of us. They are casual, Alex is always with a t-shirt, some sneakers, and a scarf. They are. When I met them, Alex and Patricia, they invited us to their house for dinner. And one thing that I noticed was that the door was always open. I'm not used to that here in Portugal, although our country, it isn't a dangerous one, but I'm not used to have the door always open. And also the labor laws are very flexible. They work on average 37 hours a week. They all of them have hobbies because they have the time for it. They are also very honest. They don't say yes when they mean no, and apart from this, obviously, we all know that the concerns about the environment are huge. Everybody rides a bike. In fact, more than 60% of the people ride a bike to work or to school, even with 2 degrees outside. And all the public buses are, eco-friendly or electric ones. The education is completely free and even paid, I think, after 18 years old, I think. So the Danish are constantly studying. They are the real, perpetual learners. And the shops are all closed from Saturday afternoon and Sunday because people need to rest too. It's a completely different culture, Here in Portugal, it looks like we are we are better now, but we are a little bit embarrassed of talking freely about concepts like happiness or love. And in Denmark, these are commonly used terms. In fact, they do have a word. I don't know which. I don't want to pronounce it.
Would you like me to say it for you, Marta?
Yes, Sarah, please do, because I don't. It's Abendel.
That's so close. You know what? I always say it's much better, unless you're obviously Scandinavian. It's much better after a glass of wine. That's how it's Arbeidsglæde.
Oh God,
it's impossible for me. Even after a bottle of wine, I won't
even done it justice.
I won't be able to say that.
I would need 2 bottles of wine. Well, but the whole thing is that words specifically. Well, that I don't know if I want to call words, but it means happiness at work. It's a concept, you know. It means happiness at work. So they in fact they don't expect less than that. They feel it's completely impossible not to be happy at work. So I loved the experience. That's all I have to say.
Well, now I'm sure I have Denmark in my future plans. Definitely. Sarah, woohoo is the biggest. Woohoo! I don't know how to say it yet. I'll do it. I'll do
Woohoo.
it. I promise, because you were my teacher, so I promise I'll do it right. Okay.
Please You've done it.
Keep my certificate. I'll do it right. Woohoo is the biggest Cho certifier in the world. What are woohoo numbers today? I mean, countries, professionals.
Yeah, it's such an amazing group of humans. So we are currently about 123 individual partners from 41 different companies and 31 countries around the world. So that is this wonderful kind of, like I said, this family, this tribe that I discovered and then have been. Gosh, I'm just so lucky to have inherited this wonderful group of humans.
Yeah, and it's great to be part of it as well, isn't it, Marta? And how do you see the evolution of the professions that are linked to happiness at work? How do you see the last years, from the last years to now? How was the evolution?
I think, so it's really interesting because I think if you had said you were the chief happiness officer probably 5, even 10 years ago when I discovered this, you probably would have gotten sort of what you described, Marta, a bit maybe like people would have made a bit funny, or it wouldn't have been taken quite so seriously. My background, I came into happiness at work via kind of customer experience, and that was how I joined this. And I used to talk about it, and I used to actually use my Canadian background to sort of get people comfortable going, well, it's a bit hippie and it's a bit Canadian and it's a bit far out when I talked about happiness, to make people feel comfortable, like it was okay, I could talk about it because I had that background. Whereas now I don't ever have to do that. So I think it's really taken a huge leap forward. You know, we have lots and lots of, there's so much positive psychology evidence. There's so much research going on. There's so much kind of, you know, all of the Gallup studies, all of the, you know, the World Happiness reports, all of these things. So I think actually people are doing that. And I really like Nick Marks. He does a lot of work with us, but he has a great kind of description of happiness, is that it's, you know, it's how humans talk about positivity. You know, it's what we want for ourselves. It's what we want for our spouses and our children's. So it's a natural way for us to talk about this. And in places like Denmark, they figured that out, and you spend more of your time at work than you do anywhere else. So why wouldn't you, you know, why wouldn't you want to be happy at work? And, you know, we all know that you can't be unhappy at work and then happy at home. You know, it spills out from where you are. So I'd say it's becoming more and more. Prior even to the pandemic, it was starting to gain traction. There was a lot more uptake. There was a lot more going on. I know Alex moved from doing 1 training a year to doing 2 trainings a year. I think his last year he did 3 trainings a year. This year we have done 2. We will do 2 English trainings, but we've also launched our first Spanish, our second Slovenian, and we are in talks with other partners about expanding that worldwide. So I know that it's something that is, there's a huge uptake. And I think even more so now that we have the pandemic, all of a sudden, you know, there's lots of horrible things that have come from that. But the positive that I'm very happy to take away from that is businesses are desperate to help their people, to support them. They realize they don't know what the right thing to do is, but they really want to do the right thing. And so I think we're going to see a huge evolution in that. And it may be called something different, you know, because we have partners all over the world. Some places, I believe, kind of on a global scale, you have places who can talk about happiness and be comfortable with it, or joy, perhaps. You have other countries that can't. You know, it's not, they don't feel comfortable there, or the language isn't right. And you don't, you know, one of the things we're really passionate about is that everything we do is based in science. And, you know, that there's a huge amount of research behind what we do. And so, you know, some countries talk about well-being. Some countries talk about even use mental health.
Yes.
You know, as we did, Carla, in ours, so that, you know, happiness is the kind of other side to the mental health coin. It's how you go from, I drew a really fun picture with Greta, one of our other partners, that's how you get from that languishing to thriving is actually the practices of happiness at work. So I really believe that we are on this fantastic trajectory where businesses who don't focus on the happiness of their employees, they won't last.
Yeah, I agree with you. Marta, we have affinities when it comes to happiness at work, where we both like the hard side of it, I guess. I mean, happiness connected to business strategies, KPIs, and so on. From your point of view, what is the strategic role of a chief happiness officer? Oh, Mike?
Sorry. As I was telling you, I can speak about the reality that we live here in Portugal, because here in Portugal, we have 80% of our market filled with, you know, small or medium-sized companies. So I don't really see the role of a chief happiness officer, you know, on his own. I can see it as a part of an HR management or even a CEO. But unless we are talking about multinationals or big companies, I don't see it as a role itself. But from my perspective, this certification, or I mean, this knowledge about happiness, well-being, positive leadership, etc., is very important and useful for anybody who has a team. In fact, as Sarah was telling, the company's humanization is a necessity. Well, it's an urgent matter, especially today. And science really helps us with all the data we need to understand that, you know, emotions, relationships, and even results are definitely connected and do make a difference in companies. So even if we don't want to see it approached like this, we can go, you know, the other way around, and having unhappy, disengaged teams, disengaged people, you know, mental health issues. How much does it cost to companies, you know? How much in turnover, in mental health issues, on professional illnesses, how much it costs, absences, etc. So especially now with all these changes, you know, COVID and home office and mental health, and it's a priority to put people first and to see the happiness of our people in the center of all the decisions. It's the rest will follow, I guess.
Yeah. You have a very successful career as a C-level executive, but you are not a chief happiness officer, properly speaking. But I know you use the knowledge in your work, in your everyday work. So how do you do that? Could you give us examples? What are you doing at Oeiras International School in Lisbon?
Well, at Oeiras International School, we are approximately 100 people, staff, of course. And we are a school, an international school, and we have almost 500 students from 40 different nationalities. I'm the head of administration, which means that I deal with HR, marketing, maintenance, IT, finance. It's a more like a chief of operations, if you want to say that. But I'm a CHO too. So, and as a CHO, I'm the person who feels responsible, who at least feels responsible for monitoring the level of happiness that we live there. And also, I dedicate a lot of time researching and implementing actions to increase that level of happiness. Of course, I'm a leader too, and as a leader, I try to, put people first, and the emotions and relationships, engagement, etc. The purpose, our purpose as a school in this case. But this means, like I said before in Feliciencia, using our heart department.
Oh, I love it.
Whatever the decision is, and we all do have a heart, so it's just we have to use it. It means listening. It means, being available, allowing accountability, of course, but also the failure, and showing humanity. Above all, I think it means dropping the profession, because we all make mistakes, always. So we have to show humanity and just being a better human. A better leader. That's it.
Yeah, great. I'll do something right now. I will perform the question that one of our students made to you, and then you answer. Okay. The question was, okay. And Sarah and everybody who's listening, it was like, okay, you do very nice things at Oeiras International School. Do you have a department dedicated to that?
And I said, yes, we all do. We have it here in our heart. That was the question. I will never forget the question and the answer, by the way.
Yes.
But yeah, and it's true. It's true. It's true.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you,
lovely.
Carla.
That's lovely. Yeah, I'll never forget as well. This was a high moment of that certification. Sarah, we just had the great opportunity to listen to Innocent Drinks during the CHO Academy, the last academy, a great culture case study talking about the British market. It's where you are right now. How are companies embracing happiness at work in the UK?
Great question. And I love Innocent, and Tim was just fantastic, wasn't he? He's so fabulous. I think it's actually really taking a turn up. So when like I said, probably 5-6 years ago, when you talked about happiness, you would have to kind of maybe have a caveat, say something to get people to open up to listen, or you would use it as, a kind of challenge. Whereas I think now it's much more accepted. We have a lot more partners from the UK than we ever have before. We have we've got Henry, who's one of our partners in London. He's got a brilliant company who runs trainings all over. There are areas of the NHS, so the National Health Service in the UK, that are putting joy at work actually into practice. There are large portions of kind of government organizations who are really starting to take notice. And again, as you alluded to, Marta, and as you were saying, Carla, there's so much scientific evidence now to back up what we're doing. Not only does it feel like the right thing to do, it is the right thing to do, and as leadership and as people who want their businesses to be successful, every business outcome you care to measure is improved by creating a happier workplace for your staff. And so I think it is really, it's starting to become so much more, it's more of a conversation. It's still, I would say, we are not Denmark, we are not the Netherlands, we are not even Belgium, but I think, especially compared to where I was speaking probably 5 years ago. So just this week I chaired an employee engagement summit, and the kind of strap line was putting people at the heart of your business. And I heard that from, you know, businesses all over the UK, and not just lip service. I would say, you know, there was real good case studies of companies who genuinely were putting their people at the heart of their business. And so I think it's a wonderful movement in the right direction.
Yeah, I would say that I feel the same in Brazil. It was a huge challenge to talk about even happiness. I wouldn't say happiness at work like 5 years ago, and it's much easier now. So we have probably the best moment due to science, and unfortunately also due to the pandemics. Unfortunately, I wouldn't like to be really having this good moment of work due to something so terrible. And from the woohoo point of view, which countries now you see that are starting to invest in the Chief Happiness Officer certification? I know we had 2 people from Dubai in the last group. So yeah, which countries are really rising?
Are popping out there. Well, it's really interesting. We kind of have a few different ones. So in our cohort that you just graduated from, we do see a lot of people coming from South America, actually. So we had the Spanish Academy, which is it was running parallel. They're still running, and that is primarily South American attendees. I would say Portugal as well seems to have it's quite a hot topic there. I would say a lot of our leads come from there. We almost always get someone from the Netherlands, someone from Belgium. Occasionally, I think the UK is the same, but yeah, the UAE has actually a national mandate to have a chief happiness officer in every organization. And I think they actually have in their government, they have a minister for happiness who actually met with Alex when they were starting this whole thing. So it's a huge movement over there. Our partner in Japan, so it's not something at all that they would talk about so much in Japan, but she is really pushing it. She's getting lots of traction there, and she's going to be launching a CHO Academy in Japan. So I think there are pockets. Like I said, probably those are the pockets, but we do then have a couple of surprises. We're launching the International Week of Happiness at Work. I'm going to do a big kind of
September, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, so that's been running since 2018, but we're going to launch a big initiative in the US because again, I think there's a lot of there's just a change globally. You know, workplace well-being is on the Davos agenda this year. The SEC in America has put workplace well-being and taking care of its people on the agenda, and the last thing they did that for was climate and kind of corporate social responsibility. So it's something that now investors want to hear about. How are you taking care of your people, because they are your biggest asset? And so I think it's really just kind of taken that step up. That's the picture as I see it. What your ladies are from 2 of our kind of bigger markets. How do you does that resonate with you in Portugal and in Brazil? Do you think there's more of an uptake in it?
Marta?
No, I think you do have a reality different from mine, Carla, because it's increasing. I don't know the figure, but I think it's 200%, right?
That's the figure, from last year to this year,
Yes, I think we are waking up here in Portugal, okay? But it's not that figure. Nothing about that.
Yeah.
I think we are going to speak a little bit about that, about the... I think you have a question about the fashion, the kind of fashion.
Yeah, that's the next one. But before that, I would like to ask you, do you think that the ESG criteria is going to help our work? Because I do believe the environment and social and governance criteria that is getting very strong in the investment field. I'm sure it's going to help the work.
I'm absolutely sure it will. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
Yeah. So the next question is exactly what you were talking about. Do you think happiness, Marta, happiness at work is a kind of fashion?
I really love the expression. I think it's lip of service. I'm sorry, Sarah, can you help me? It's
Paying lip service.
Lip service.
Yes.
I
yeah.
really love. I'm going to write it down. Well, it's a kind of fashion. I hope not. Better said. If it comes in the right way, I hope so, and I hope it's here to stay, of course. But I think there are a lot of people in the market right now, and also a lot of companies who think that they are really into happiness and well-being, when in fact they aren't. I mean, having protocols with gyms and I don't know, free fruit or free coffee or whatever, it doesn't mean that we have a positive or a happy corporate culture. We could have all those perks, as we all know, and we spend miserable time there. So we have to work on trust, on gratitude, on recognition, and
Psychological safety.
of course. And unfortunately, I think the happiness at work flag has started to, to be used like a marketing thing, almost like a company label. So, of course, people like you, Carla, and you, Sarah, in all the partnership are changing this perspective. And I'm grateful for that. But this kind of thing, it exists, and we have to be aware that it exists and fight against it, because this work that we do, that we all do, is a very serious one, and it's science based, and it's not free fruit and free coffee and parties. It's not about that.
Yeah, definitely. We don't want a happy washing. We don't need it. Definitely. Yeah. And Sarah, I bring you the same question. Is happiness at work a kind of wave that's going to pass or something like this?
Well, I certainly hope not. I think, but it could easily do so if it became exactly as you described, Marta. And I see a lot of people there's a little bit of a backlash that I hear up in the kind of toxic positivity, that, well, just think about it happily, or just go outside for a walk and everything is fine, or we're providing all these wonderful things to our employees, and yet they're still burning out. So it must be their problem. Some of the things I'm coming across when I work with clients are wanting to do the right things and yet still piling work on people, having them, you can't give them wonderful well-being programs and then ask them to work doubly as hard through the pandemic and expect them to. So it's absolutely what you guys have been talking about. It's so important that we do it methodically, carefully, scientifically, but also that we really think about, the basis that we talk about is results and relationships, right? And the piece about results is very important, making progress in meaningful work. And that is very much around having autonomy, mastery, tools, skills, and time to do the work you're assigned. And I see this far too often, that companies are wanting to create a great place to work and they're not investing in time or resource. So you have people who are overworked and overburdened and under-resourced. And no matter how many real happiness initiatives you have, unless you actually encounter those things, then it's not going to work. And so that's I guess that's a kind of underground guerrilla fight that we have going on. Because yes. You can have all of the happiness initiatives in the world you want, but if you're putting that onto your people, then you might as well save your money and your time, actually.
Yeah, that's why we keep telling people that come to do any kind of training with us that it's very important to visit culture and the leadership approach the company has. Otherwise, as Marta said, perks are not going to solve out the problems we are facing as disengagement, turnover, and so on, as Marta also mentioned before. And Sarah, again to you, how do you see the evolution of the Chief Happiness Officer from your vision, from your feeling, from your dreams? What's next for the Chief Happiness Officer?
I think, well, one is that, and it comes back to a little bit to what you said, Marta, that you're not a Chief Happiness Officer. And I'll never forget Alex's point is that anyone can be a Chief Happiness Officer. You can change your job title to Chief Happiness Officer today, and no one will stop you. And LinkedIn won't tell you off for it. So anyone can be one. I think the evolution of it, I desperately hope, is that it becomes embedded in companies, and whether you call it happiness or well-being, but it is about caring for humans. You know, this, I think really we need to be rethinking how and why we work together. You know, so much has happened over the last, 12 to 15 months. And there's so many things about that have allowed us to pause, rightly or wrongly. And I would like to think that we were able to move forward and change things. And I have a little thing that I'll say at my wrap up. I don't want to give it off, but so I'd like to think that the Chief Happiness Officer training becomes more scientific. There's more evidence, and maybe we don't have to, because I feel like we still have to sell it. Our job is still to sell it, right? So I'm hoping that in the next, maybe 1 or 2 years even, we don't have to sell it anymore. People understand it. It becomes something that people generally talk about. It becomes normal. Everyone gets to have arbeidsglæde. So it becomes something that we expect from our work, and that workplaces are actively pursuing, instead of us over here going, hey, this is really amazing, you should do this thing. Everything will be better. That's where I hope that we're going to. And I'm sure it's still going to take a little while. But again, I think there was a great conversation I had in the summits last year with one of the speakers was, happiness is how we get people inspired. Happiness is an inspirational word. It's an inspirational concept. And then it's our job to back it up with the science, and so I think if we can get more people inspired, maybe if we're in those countries where happy isn't the right word, maybe we are brave and we use it anyway. Or maybe we found a better term in our own countries and in our own languages, and we're brave and we say, no, I'm not going to settle for something less than that, inside my workplace. So that's where I hope we're going.
Wow, amazing. Marta, how do you think a Chief Happiness Officer can become indispensable for a company? I want to hear from the economist, okay?
Okay. Well, I do see the Chief Happiness Officer role as almost a cluster one. It is almost like a, Bhutan, like a gross national happiness committee that looks at all the strategic decisions of the nation, but from a happiness point of view. It's supposed, like Sarah said, it's supposed to be the driving force of the whole company. It should be, in my point of view, it should be next to the board, either as HR or as a department, or I don't know. It should be side by side with the board or with the CEO, and because it is essential to think about companies in a different way. Everything is changing. Our consumption is changing. Companies also have to adapt to this new consumers' profile. Careers are not the same as they were a few years ago. Neither is this generation. We talk about sustained consumption, ethical, responsible, or responsibility, respect for the planet, inclusion, etc. So it's all different priorities from 5 or 10 years ago. So either companies have the ability to adapt, or they will, in fact, disappear. So we do have to be able to see this as the goal. This is the way that our companies are going to reach the sustainability that they always talk. There's no other way. A company is full with people, so if you have them happy, then you will succeed. If you don't, you will fail and you will disappear. Especially after this, all of us had our lives completely upside down. The home office is here to stay. The companies won't need all those spaces that they had before. So there's too much changes in the world. So we have to be able to see what it's in front of our eyes and to react.
Yeah, thank you so much. And our conversation is coming to its end. And it was quick, wasn't it? So I'll invite the both of you to share a final message. Please, Sarah.
Thank you so much. It's gone so quickly, and it's such a joy to speak to you both. So my final message is two things. Exactly what you said, Marta. Why wouldn't you want your employees to be happy? Is just one question. What benefit do you think that might have? And the second is just to think about, and it's a question which was posed by Anthea Ong, who's from Singapore, and it's imagine that the workplace is a place you go to fill you up, right? So imagine if instead of being somewhere that drained you and burned you out, you went to work and you were filled up with positivity and joy, and that spilled over from your work life into your personal life and into your community and then into the wider world. And I just think that is a world worth fighting for, worth going for, and that's why I'm so passionate about, creating a place where happiness at work is just normal for all of us.
Yeah, even though it might sound as an utopia, for instance, but many people are living in a dystopia. So why we cannot think of an utopia? So it's a possibility. Marta, please, the floor is yours.
Okay, so I think, as I said before, I think we have to be open to see all the companies or the corporate world in a different way. Like the Danish, I think we have to expect to be happy at work. Otherwise, it won't be possible. And I never forgot a sentence from Simon Sinek, and he says, working hard for something you hate is called stress. Working hard for something you love is called passion. So we need to bring passion into the companies. We have to be kind. We have to be kind because we all know that being kind, if we are being kind and if we smile, people will smile back to us too and will be kind to us too. That doesn't mean that we have to be always happy, like Sarah was telling, but we have to be human. You have to be good humans. And we should have more heart or more love departments. For that, we must learn how to do that. Because in the same way that we can, learn a new language or how to do maths, we also have to learn to deal with emotions and to deal with people and to manage people in a positive way. So that's why you guys work every day, and me too. So let's do it. That's my final message to you both.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I could add that happiness brings wonderful people to our lives, I can tell you. And yeah, definitely it brought wonderful people to my life. And I wish both of you a week full of passion, with the words from Marta. And so thank you very much, everybody who is attending the panel, and hope to be with you too soon. Yeah, I think I'll be with Marta probably next month in Portugal. Let's see if they will allow me to travel.
They will.
I can travel from the UK to Portugal.
Yes,
yeah,
you can.
Yeah.
From tomorrow on, you can.
I know. Thank you so much, Carla. Thank you for bringing us together. Thank you for, your passion and for sharing this and for giving us this platform. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much for accepting. So see you, ladies. Tchau, obrigada para todos.
Obrigada, Carla.
Obrigada.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, Gustavo. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, Gustavo.